auto loans have been a hot button topic over the last couple of years because over this same period of time, car prices have absolutely skyrocketed. And as a result of this, the average loan amount for new and used cars has hit record highs a number of times. And now that car prices have fallen over the last few months, this puts borrowers and car buyers in a pretty bad situation. Because these car buyers who purchase cars in, say, 2021, 2022, or even in some cases 2023, purchased these cars whenever the value of these cars were at all-time highs. But now used car prices have fallen, and so the value of these cars that were recently purchased have also fallen. And this then creates a dangerous situation where millions of people around the country are now underwater on the car loans that they have. And what this means is that borrowers owe more money on their car loans than the vehicle is actually worth, and this is a bad situation to be in. And unfortunately, it seems as though this situation is getting worse. Because according to a recent study released by TransUnion, more and more consumers are finding themselves with negative equity on their cars. In this study by TransUnion, it found that LTVs, or loan-to-value ratios, which is the amount that someone owes on their car compared to the value of that vehicle, is rising. And many recently originated loans are in negative equity positions as of today, particularly among used and subprime borrowers. So from the very first day that these subprime borrowers are buying these cars, they are automatically in negative equity on these vehicles, which is something that's very common with new cars, but is less common with used, and it definitely isn't a good thing. You can see a breakdown of this year over year here. In Q1 of 2020, used LTV was at 112. In Q1 of 2021, it was at 104. In 2022, it was at 110. And in Q1 of 2023, it was at 125. That is a significant increase, which means that if we compare Q1 of 2023 to Q1 of 2022, the LTV is significantly higher, so more people are underwater on their used vehicles. You can also see the same data for new vehicles. We saw 101 LTV in 2020, 102 in 2021, 105 in 2022, and 104 in 2023. Remember again, LTV is the loan value of that vehicle compared to the actual value of that car. The higher the number means the higher the loan value is in comparison to the value of the vehicle. But the higher you go above 100 means the riskier that loan is. You can see the LTV here compared to the average monthly payments for both new and used vehicles. And you can see that for new cars, monthly payments are trickling up quite a bit, while the other hand for used vehicles, while they are up over the last few years, they're actually down a bit year over year. This is due to the fact that even though interest rates are through the roof, used car prices are going down. Once interest rates go down, I expect that this monthly payment will go down even more, which is a great sign. Now, the reason why LTV for used cars went down in 2021 and in 2022 was because car prices were still very high during this period of time. So if you bought a car during this period of time, you could theoretically sell the car 6 months or a year later, and chances are you could actually make money or a profit off of that vehicle. And that's again because car prices skyrocketed due to the pandemic, supply chain, and supply and demand. But this, of course, is no longer the case, and car prices are falling, which is why LTV is now going up. This TransUnion study also found that used vehicle loans with high LTVs at origination are more likely to perform worse across all risk tiers. And what this is saying is that regardless of your credit score or your risk level, whether you're prime, subprime, super prime, whatever the case is, if you are somebody that bought your car at a high LTV, which means that at the point of origination, the point of purchase, you actually had a higher loan on that vehicle than what the car was worth, that loan in turn is automatically more risky and is more inclined to go delinquent than a loan that doesn't have a higher LTV, which basically is saying that if you're somebody that gets a good deal on your car or you make a down payment, that loan is in general safer compared to cars that you overpay for or you don't put any money down. Those are more likely to go delinquent. Within the used vehicle market, slower depreciating and improved LTVs are correlated with lower delinquencies, while borrowers with faster depreciating used vehicles are more likely to go delinquent. Now, this makes a ton of sense, and in some regards, it's a bit common sense. If you have a vehicle that is depreciating incredibly fast because either the car just depreciates, market conditions, whatever the case is, that loan for that vehicle is going to have a higher chance of delinquency compared to a car that holds its value well. So for example, if you're somebody that bought a Tesla in 2022 before prices began to fall, there's a good chance that you owe more on the Tesla than that Tesla is worth, given the fact that Teslas have fallen by over 30% in the last year. So if you're somebody who's needing to sell the Tesla, you're going to have an incredibly tough time, and because of that, you have a higher likelihood to go delinquent on that loan. While on the flip side, if you're somebody that has an F-150, a Jeep, or a 4Runner, you have a vehicle that's holding its value quite well, then you're out with that loan is significantly easier. If you need to sell that car, that's an easy task because you're not underwater on that car loan. So again, what this is saying is that the faster cars depreciate, the more likely that the loans associated with those cars are to go delinquent. Not mind-blowing information at all. This report also goes on to say that the supply chain issues could keep prices high for a bit longer, but downward pressures could lead to less equity at a point of trade-in. It also goes on to say that older, low loan-to-value ratio loans still outweigh newer, high LTV loans, which is in turn saying that there are more healthy, non-delinquent loans out there than there are unhealthy, delinquent loans, which is a good thing. Now, the reason why this study is a big deal, at least in the context of the car market today, is that this TransUnion study shows us that the higher the LTV is at the point of origination, so the point in which the borrower took out the money for the car, the more likely that the car is to go delinquent. And as of right now, LTV for vehicles at the point of origination is the highest that we've seen in years. That means that in theory, these loans are at a much higher risk of going delinquent than they have been in years, which obviously isn't a good thing. Now, one thing that I do want to point out is a statement that was made by TransUnion in relation to the study. This is a direct quote from the TransUnion report. Ultimately, the study found that equity and depreciation are key factors in future performance, as consumers with more equity appear more likely to protect that equity by making payments. This stands in contrast to those that borrow faster depreciating vehicles and therefore flat to rising LTVs post-origination who are more likely to go delinquent. So this sort of goes into the mindset of the average car buyer, is that if you have somebody who has purchased a car, they have equity in that vehicle, there is an incentive in protecting the equity because they want to have the ability to either sell that car later on or keep it and preserve their credit, which of course wouldn't be possible if they allowed that loan to get behind and go into delinquency. Whereas on the flip side, if you have somebody that has a very fast depreciating car and that car is losing value quickly and they are underwater on that car, well then they aren't incentivized to keep up with that loan, and they may simply just put their hands up and say, you know what, I'm just going to let the bank take it. And this again creates this huge domino effect because as car prices are going down, the value of these cars are going down, and whether you're a borrower, a dealership, or a bank, your ability to recoup the cost of any vehicle is also going down, and this can create major issues in mass quantities, which isn't something that we've seen yet, but it is something we could see in the future. And truthfully, this is a problem that I've been talking about a lot on my channel. Cost of living is rising, car payments are up, mortgage payments are up, but the average wage is not increasing at the same rate. Additionally, the student loan pause is ending sooner than later, which means that soon there will be millions of Americans that are once again on the hook for their monthly student loan payments. And I do think that once we see student loan payments resume, regardless of whether or not we enter an official recession or if the economy gets worse, I think that we will in turn see an increase in delinquency rates simply because of the fact that these same borrowers that at one point had their student loans paused are now having to resume payments, and they simply don't have enough money to afford all of these expenses. And so as a result, these same borrowers may just let their expensive cars go delinquent, and this could again cause a massive trickle-down effect in the entire car market as a whole. Now, only time will tell, and I expect to learn a lot more as the student loan forgiveness ends and as we head more and more into 2023. But as of today, this is the most up-to-date information regarding loans, loan-to-value ratios, and all of the TransUnion data that they released for earlier this year. Like always, you guys, if you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.